They threw him from the temple and stoned him. James the Just, brother of Jesus, forgotten by history, the true foundation of the first believers. When the world thinks of the great leaders of the early faith, two names dominate. Peter, the fiery disciple. Paul, the missionary to the nations. But in Jerusalem, the very heart of the movement, another man stood at the center. James, the brother of Jesus. Known to all as James the Just, James was the recognized head of the community. Even Paul deferred to him. Acts 21 describes Paul returning to Jerusalem after years of traveling. And who does he report to? Not Peter, not John. Paul writes in Galatians 1, "Then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem. I saw none of the other apostles, only James, the Lord's brother." This is no metaphor. James was literally family, raised in the same home as Yeshua. And after the resurrection, he rose to become the central leader in Jerusalem. If Peter was the voice and Paul the missionary, James was the foundation, the one who kept the community rooted in the God of Israel and the scriptures and the temple. Josephus calls him righteous. He prayed so much in the temple, his knees were like a camel's. His life was Torah, prayer, and devotion in the temple. Eusebius, the early church historian, says he was called Oblius, bulwark of the people, because he was seen as the protector of Jerusalem. Acts 15 tells of a crisis. Gentiles were coming to faith in Yeshua. Should they be required to become Jews? The apostles debated fiercely. Peter spoke. Paul and Barnabas gave testimony. But the decision belonged to James. James then gave his ruling. Gentiles are welcome. They need not become Jews, but they must abstain from idolatry, from blood, from strangled animals, and from sexual immorality. This was not the birth of a new religion. It was rooted in Torah and prophets, expanding Israel's covenant to the nations. Gentiles are welcome, but the faith stays rooted in Israel. Why was he called the Just? Because his life radiated righteousness. Eusebius describes him as deeply ascetic, avoiding luxury, devoted to fasting, spending long hours in prayer. He was known for charity, for strict devotion to Torah. His letter, the Epistle of James, is the most Jewish book in the New Testament. James 1, "Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says." James 2, "What good is it, my brothers, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them? Faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead." This is Jewish wisdom lived out through faith in Messiah. But righteousness does not always protect from power. When Ananias, the high priest, convened the judges of the Sanhedrin, he brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, and some others. And when he had formed an accusation against them as breakers of the law, he delivered them to be stoned. James was taken to the pinnacle of the temple and told to renounce Yeshua. Instead, he proclaimed, "Jesus is seated at the right hand of God in heaven and will come again on the clouds of heaven." Enraged, they pushed him from the height. When he did not die, they stoned him. Many saw Jerusalem's later destruction as divine judgment for the murder of James the Just. The first leader of the faith was not a Christian bishop, but a Jewish tzaddik, a righteous man steeped in Torah, prayer, and the temple, that his teaching stressed justice, mercy, and obedience. But the way of Messiah was never meant to be abstract belief alone. It was meant to be lived in holiness, justice, and faithfulness to God. James the Just, the forgotten brother, the true anchor of the first believers.